Ian Lindsay of Lindsay and Associates has played an active role in the local community since 1979. He has been with RE/MAX, Vancouver Island's most advanced real estate business network, since 1996, marketing and selling residential, rural, strata, recreational, investment, and project development real estate. You'll find true real estate professionals at ianlindsay.ca.
Peter and Dave, they're on the mic, so right. Join the ride, it's gonna feel just right.
Welcome back to the Pulse Community Podcast. I'm Peter McCully, and we're tracking the pulse of life here on mid-Vancouver Island as we wrap up February and welcome March, the month that marks the beginning of spring.
Spring, my favorite season, tied with summer, winter, and fall. I'm Dave Graham. Yes, February almost done. The Olympics are over in Italy, and somehow I watched more ice skating than ever before. I believe they call it figure skating. I don't really understand it, so it all looks pretty much the same to my eyes. They go through what appear to be rather similar moves. There's that spinning thing and the twirling thing and the tossing and the landing and occasionally the falling.
Well, Dave, those are moves that require years of training and dedication and physical conditioning. The skaters are constantly pushing the limits of what can be done while wearing blades on your feet.
Oh, I understand that there's a lot of skill involved and an immense amount of effort to reach that level of performance. I guess I won't ever be able to fully appreciate the sport because, well, I never really mastered skating myself. And yet still, I call myself a Canadian.
And Dave, how's the Italian cooking coming along?
Oh, molto bene. I started to make my own pasta from scratch the other day, and it was going really well until it didn't. And then I had to scramble to keep the Italian theme going, and so I ordered a pizza. I thought it was a pretty smooth recovery. Then I began making a carbonara recipe. See what I did there? Yeah. Then I began making a carbonara recipe, but it called for guanciale, which is cured pork cheeks. Who stocks cured pork cheeks? Oh, I use bacon.
So, how did it turn out, Dave?
Peter, there are very few things in life that don't get better with a little bacon.
You may have a point, Dave. Today on the podcast, Derek Edwards, one of Canada's most beloved stand-up comedians, joins us today to talk about his comedic journey, 3 decades on the road, and what keeps him laughing after all these years. Derek brings his latest tour to Vancouver Island with 4 stops in March.
You know, somebody brought a baby to a show once. Can you believe it? And I get a laugh. Say there's 100 people there. So everyone would laugh and they would stop. And then the baby would laugh because she thought it was hilarious. You know, the sound of all these people laughing. And then everyone would hear the baby laugh and they would laugh again. There was no need for me to be there.
Oh, that's good. A baby upstaging a comedian. But in his defense, babies can be very funny. That is, when they're not being scary.
You find babies scary, Dave?
I'm about as familiar with babies as I am with figure skating. I hear there's a special way you have to hold them, and they're just so needy, and they can't tell you what's wrong when they cry. It's all pretty overwhelmed. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I need to calm myself. Happy thoughts. Oh, bacon.
Suzanne Cunningham joins the podcast as chair of the Mid-Island Health Alliance. Through community-powered philanthropy and strong partnerships, this volunteer-driven group is opening the Primrose Medical Center in Qualicum Beach this September.
The build would probably be about $900,000, and so we're getting very, very close to be able to see that happen. So a little bit more fundraising is warranted. The other dollars equaling to the 1.2, 1.5 are for equipment and housing the rooms and fixturing the center. So we would welcome the financial support from within the community to help that go. So given that the build happens in May and we equip in June, July, we're looking at August setup and a startup in September.
A new medical clinic in Qualicum Beach. That is exciting news for this region and for those who have trouble accessing primary care. And at last, we have an actual date. Yes, September, not that far off.
On a future edition of the podcast, Dave will be joined by Colin James. Colin will be on the island this spring with a number of performances.
It isn't every day we get to speak with an 8-time Juno Award winner. Oh, by the way, Peter, could we see if Colin would have time to check out my guitar playing? It wouldn't take long. Maybe you could give me some tips. You know, I think I pretty much mastered the first, well, several notes of his debut hit Voodoo Thing, and I might have some skill.
I don't think so, Dave. Also coming up on the Pulse podcast, award-winning author Monique Gray Smith, who joins us to discuss her latest book, Sharing the Light, Stories and Reflections. Monique will be at Fireside Books in March. Keep an eye on the website for the date.
And we'll chat with speaker, writer, and technologist Jeff Shields about AI and how it can be used in our everyday lives at home and in small business. Now, this is a conversation that will have people raising eyebrows and perhaps even saying, wow.
And I'd like to say the clock is ticking. This in regards to our latest contest. Visit our website or Facebook page to enter a commemorative Super Bowl 60 sweater.
Hosts of the F3 podcast, Aaron Halashak Fraser and Chef Jonathan Fraser, picked this sweater up for us in San Francisco, and we have it ready to award to one lucky listener.
So visit our Facebook page, The Pulse Community, or our website at thepulsecommunity.ca. The draw is Thursday, February 26th.
There's exciting news for book lovers. Fireside Books in Parksville now has a second location in Port Alberni. The Bookworm. Used books are just $5 or less. The Bookworm on the corner of Redford and Anderson opens 7 days a week from 10 to 5. Building your personal library for less. Fireside Books at 464 Island Highway East in Parksville is a book dragon's dream come true. Browse their extensive collections 7 days a week. Both locations make growing your personal library easier than ever. New and used books, and so much more. Order online at firesidebooks.ca and pick up at either location. Details available online. Ask about returning books for a book credit. Fireside Books and The Bookworm. 2 locations, one amazing adventure in browsing.
March break will soon be here. We hope the parents are planning for the occasion. Perhaps they'll be able to take the kids to the ocean to witness the herring run. Between the fishing boats, the eagles, whales, seals, and gulls, the ocean comes alive during this remarkable natural event. It's time for Marilyn to introduce our first guest who's associated with another remarkable event.
Suzanne Cunningham is chair of the Mid-Island Health Alliance, a volunteer-led nonprofit addressing the critical shortage of primary care in Parksville-Qualicum Beach and surrounding areas. Through community-powered philanthropy and strong partnerships, MIHA is opening the Primrose Medical Center in Qualicum Beach this September.
Suzanne, congratulations on being able to announce that the Mid-Island Health Alliance will be opening a new medical center in Qualicum Beach September of this year. Let's start with defining our players here with Mid-Island Health Alliance, if you will.
Mid-Health Alliance is actually a volunteer-led not-for-profit society dedicated to addressing the critical shortage of primary care in oceanside communities. The Alliance is made up of experienced business and healthcare professionals who bring a diverse and complementary set of skills together for their projects. MIHA is a facilitating and advocacy group, and we're here to promote and help residents get care.
Can you indulge us in the origin story for this whole thing?
The Primrose Center emerged through a conversation from Mayor Westbrook and myself. He suggested I talk to Paul Connor, who had a vacated space in the old Bank of Montreal building in Qualicum Beach, which would be ideal for a medical clinic. I spoke to Paul. We pulled some key players together, including those who were very good at marketing and clinical operations and expertise in renovations and construction. We brought them all together in the same room, and we started with our vision and got it going. The vision centrally located itself in the medical center in the heart of Qualicum Beach. It was especially important because it ensured accessibility for the residents. The building was formerly, as I said, the Bank of Montreal and is now under new ownership and is being transformed into a new healthcare facility. Dr. Paul Connor originally led the charge along with us, MIHA, with Dr. Kelly Hatfield, who is our physician consultant, to ensure that the project is moving forward and succeeding. And we have additional folks such as the Nanaimo Foundation folks, and certainly Donna Hayes, who is RW Wall and construction and renovation. So we're all in the same room doing the same thing.
Can't speak from experience, I don't think, but funding healthcare infrastructure is got to be a challenge. How did MIHA respond to this reality?
Well, current healthcare funding environment is a significant challenge in today's world, and particularly for community-based clinics that require both financial and human resources. MIHA quickly recognized that securing space and funding through traditional means could take years. Particularly, it took us probably about a year to realize that the need, we did an assessment, the need was more for space than actually doctors initially. If you don't have space, you have no place for the doctors to practice. So we realized that we needed physical plant for them to actually work in. So once we were able to do that, we went after funding and realized that it's really challenging, both from a government standpoint, from a health authority standpoint, and so on. But we realized the crisis was there. And because there was such a lack of physicians for our residents, we decided to try a new model and try to go from a community-based perspective and see if we could get the community interested in helping and supporting and bringing Primrose to life.
You have described the Primrose Medical Center as the future backbone of healthcare delivery in Qualicum Beach. And is it the community-centric focus that is at the heart of this model?
Well, it has to be. Absolutely. I think not only the fact that the community is there, the way we practice is different. And so in terms of primary care, the delivery is changing. Physicians of today are not as they were even 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. They're expecting different ways and means of doing things. In particular, their goal is to work towards team-based practice. So you have a multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary group of folks who all come around the patient or the resident to make sure that the care is there. So more of a holistic approach versus the doctor did his thing, they own their practice. Now we have physicians who want to come, they want to take care of their patients, but they also want work-life balance. And they want a life. And so practice is changing. And one of the things that we put in place through Primrose is actually a model of care that allows for that balance, allows for that cultural nuance, and so that physicians are more content and that we can hold on to them and keep them and retain them.
It makes so much sense when you say it out loud like that. How significant is the physician shortage in this region, and how is this clinic to help? Obviously, you've got, 4 physicians signed up already?
And thank goodness we do. Qualicum Beach and the surrounding Mid-Island communities, we did an assessment of need. We spent a day apart, delved into the literature, delved into all the numbers. And in essence, what we found out there's approximately 9,000 residents who do not have a physician in this region. The numbers can fluctuate from day to day, and not everybody's on the list. So getting a true number is interesting, but at best, we know that there are about 8,000, 9,000 residents who don't have a physician. And the only way we know that is that we have a Health Connect registry that is actually governed and monitored through the ministry to tell us who we have and who we don't have. And so that's the way they can evaluate how many physicians are needed. But looking ahead, the region can probably project a requirement of 20 to 30 more additional physicians that we need over the next 3 to 5 years. And why is that so? Mostly because of retirement. And practice change, because physicians don't have large practices, population growth, and the changing patterns that physicians are doing. The Primrose Center itself has 3,300 square feet of repurposed clinical space, and it will have the capacity to serve up to 10,000 patients when fully operational. That will significantly improve their access to care for all the residents, so that's really important for us.
How about specialties? Are we going to see any specialties at this clinic?
In addition to not only primary care, the Primrose Medical Center will host specialty clinics based on community referral needs. That will include women's health, geriatrics, and maternal care. Also, specialists such as cardiologists, dermatologists for cancer care, and selected psychiatric and mental health providers will offer their services on a rotational basis. We've already had that dialogue with many of them, and they're very interested in coming. And so we're very excited about that aspect. So not only primary care and our 4 physicians, but also those who can add to the specialty component that typically our residents would need to go to Nanaimo and go for a distance, or even go to Victoria to see a physician of this ilk.
Can you just talk a little bit about the recruitment process?
Wholeheartedly, it takes a village. But cultural fit is very important, certainly in the model that we're putting together. It's important that the clinic and the physician and the broader community all match, that they all fit. It's essential for long-term retention and success. One of our benefits is that we've been privileged to have Dr. Kelly Hatfield on board, working closely with MIHA and the Central Island Division of Family Practice to recruit and use the established channels of posting positions and so on, where the candidates are fully reviewed to ensure the alignment with the clinic's collaborative and their team-based approach to make sure that it's in keeping with their philosophy and what the philosophy of the clinic would promote. So that's really important as well for the success of the clinic and how well it functions, but also for the community itself. The initial 4 physicians trained internationally and within BC and across Canada. They'll be there with a launch, and we will have capacity for almost 2 to 5 more once the clinic opens. So we're excited about that. So recruitment will be ongoing. The Mid-Island Health Alliance has actually just newly formed a recruitment and retention committee, which forms a collaborative community-based group focused on attracting, welcoming, and retaining our physicians and nurse practitioners in the Mid-Island region. Weaving a provider into the fabric of the community is key to our retention and really important for us to keep them here. It's about a lifestyle, and that's certainly what we're trying to promote here. The committee brings together multiple leaders, municipal leaders, healthcare system partners, business and tourism organizations, passionate community members to support healthcare providers, not just professionally, but also personally and socially. So it's not just the physician, but it's their family, it's their children, it's the schools. What about the daycare? So keeping in mind the broader picture of what's happening in the region is very important. What does it mean for housing? What does it mean for real estate? What is it for the activities that can keep our families coming back for more? Is what's really important. It's certainly very, very big in our recruitment process. And all of these things have been part of Kelly's discussion with the group to make sure that these things really meet their needs, and they need to come happy.
Kelly being Dr. Kelly Hadfield, whom you've mentioned already, serving as medical director, and just how important a role has she been playing in all of this?
We're so fortunate to have Dr. Hadfield on board. Her leadership has been instrumental in shaping the clinic's operational framework. Her recruitment strategies we just discussed, and the long-term care vision is something she's helped us establish. Her commitment to the collaborative practice and community-centered care has helped us establish a sound foundation for how Primrose works and operates. In the initial stages of opening, she will not only facilitate the onboarding of new physicians, but also critical going forward will be for future residents and students who choose to do practicums at the center, so we can perpetuate the ongoing flow of new physicians and so on through the system. And that's really important to keep on building that volume, if you will, and that practice and consistency for the residents of Oceanside.
The Primrose Medical Center is designed to support medical learners, residents, and early career physicians from across the country and abroad. Can you explain how that will be manifested?
Certainly. One of the things that we don't have here in Oceanside is that we don't have a hospital. So you will find that larger cities or towns that have hospitals have provision, if you will, for learning for students to go work in the hospital, to learn through the hospital and their practices, and to meet the needs for the patients who are in the hospital. One of the things that we are promoting here at Primrose is that we have medical learners and residents actually come within the environment of the center and actually learn as they go. And having the blessing, if you will, or the advantage of other physicians who can teach and learn and mentor and coach so that they have that solid foundation as they go forward to be full-fledged physicians. We have that, and Dr. Hadfield will help us with that process because she's developed that ability not only in Primrose, but in her current practice, which is the medical center and with First Nations and so on. So she's already doing that kind of work of mentorship and leadership. One of the things we're thinking about right now is that how does Primrose Medical Center really help the community in the long term? And one of the things that we're trying to do with our approach is to make sure that we can provide the services to the residents so that we alleviate the pressures that may be on some of our urgent cares and emergency departments and other hospitals that don't have primary care in their midst. And so the resident is taken care of in their community, by their community centers, by their physicians, and that will alleviate some of the stress and strains on some of the other healthcare entities.
The community is invited to participate financially at one level. Are there other ways that we can help?
Community philanthropy is one of the things that we've built the Primrose philosophy on. And so raising funds is asking the community to get behind the need here from a financial perspective. But MIHA invites residents, businesses, and supporters to bring Primrose Medical Center to life by contributing to construction, equipment, and startup costs. And so donations can be made through the MIHA website. That's www.midislandhealthalliance.ca. Our startup costs are about 1.2 to 1.5 million, covering the leasehold improvements and the medical equipment, and are being funded through community-powered philanthropy, mostly through the community. And we've been very, very fortunate to date that Miha has received a generous donation through Paul Connor and his wife, Jill, of $500,000. Former owners of the building and long-term Qualicum Beach residents and passionate about the cause, but we also have private donations now exceeding $700,000. So we're well on our way, and we're very excited about that and very grateful to all the donors who've got us this far and will continue to work so we can open on time. We're certainly acknowledging the Nanaimo District Hospital Foundation. The reason being is that they have been an advocate and a facilitator for us, for Miha. They have been able, because they are a charitable organization, to actually receive the donations that have been given through the site. They hold our account, the Miha account, and so donations will go through them. They will issue the tax receipt, and they will ensure that the donors are recognized and appreciated for their share as we go forward together. So it's a really, really wonderful partnership, and we created that off very, very early on in our journey to make sure that we were forming the relationships that we needed to get things done for us. We really needed to acknowledge the foundation. But the community input and engagement are central to Miha's success. Residents can participate through advocacy, volunteering, sharing expertise, joining community conversations, and helping raise awareness. At its core, Primrose Medical Center is a community-driven response to a shared challenge. And we're very excited about offering this to the region.
Between now and the opening date in September, are there still some major obstacles to overcome?
Securing the dollars to do the work is really exciting. Our goal is actually to seek permits for the build in April and working with the town for that. And in May, we're hoping for the build, if you will. We have RW Wall already engaged, the architects and the construction firm ready to go. The build would probably be about $900,000, and so we're getting very, very close to be able to see that happen. So a little bit more fundraising is warranted. The other dollars equaling to the 1.2, 1.5 are for equipment and housing the rooms and fixturing the center. So we would welcome the financial support from within the community to help that go. So given that the build happens in May and we equip in June, July, we're looking at August setup and a startup in September.
Thanks to Suzanne Cunningham and the entire team at the Mid-Island Health Alliance, the Primrose Medical Center is going to make a real difference in the lives of people throughout the region. If you'd like to learn more or support the effort, there are links in our story notes at thepulsecommunity.ca.
That is tangible evidence of what a community can accomplish when people come together around something that matters. Hey, if you have someone in mind that you think we should be talking to, if you have a tip for a story we should be telling, we want to hear from you. Leave a voice or a text message through the contact link on our website.
We've added Vancouver Island webcam links to the pulsecommunity.ca website. Not only will you find links to all our podcasts, but events and contests too.
The Pulse Community Podcast is available on Apple, Amazon, iHeart, Spotify, TikTok, and YouTube. We're also on Facebook and Instagram.
At Thrifty Foods, we love to help nonprofits, charities, and schools. Our Thrifty Foods Smile Card bulk program allows organizations to immediately save up to 6% on the purchase of Smile Cards in bulk, allowing you to keep more money in your organization's pockets. Ask for details at Thrifty Foods in Parksville.
Ian Lindsay of Lindsay and Associates has played an active role in the local community since 1979. He has been with RE/MAX, Vancouver Island's most advanced real estate business network, since 1996, marketing and selling residential, rural, strata, recreational, investment, and project development real estate. You'll find true real estate professionals at ianlindsay.ca.
Peter, I want to share an experience I had recently when I went out to enjoy the benefits of Shinrin-yoku.
What's that, Dave?
Shinrin-yoku is the Japanese term for forest bathing. It has become a recognized form of therapy. After reading a little bit about it the other day, I decided to get out there and give it a whirl. But it was a little bit cold out. I wasn't able to stay out for very long.
Well, Dave, it hasn't been that cold out. Wait. You do know that you keep your clothes on for forest bathing, right?
Yeah, yes. Oh, look, it's time for our next guest. Here's Marilyn.
Derek Edwards has been a cornerstone of Canadian comedy for over 3 decades, delivering observational humor that resonates with audiences coast to coast. The award-winning comedian brings his latest tour to Vancouver Island this spring and joins us to discuss his comedy journey, life on the road, and what keeps him laughing after all these years.
Hey there, Peter.
Hey, Derek, how you doing?
Hey, good. Top of the day to you. How's things out there?
You know, we had a little flurry here in Parksville last night. It was 2 degrees. The daffodils are still making an appearance, and it looks like the cherry trees will be blooming in another couple of weeks.
I had to go ask. The snow coming down now is so sticky and heavy. And you've heard Toronto finally got a Canadian winter. Not that you'd really understand what that meant. Are you from the island?
Well, I grew up in Nova Scotia. I moved here about 25 years ago. So I've had lots of snow, and I've had lots of West Coast weather.
You'd probably prefer the latter. Is that true?
Liquid sunshine. Thanks for taking time from your busy day. I know it's laundry day today.
Oh, is it really? I got to do that then. Thanks, really. Give me a reminder. I guess you guys get a lot more done because it's earlier there all the time.
Well, depends on where you are.
I'm looking forward to it. You guarantee. I did an interview with a fella. He signs off with it. We had a real pleasant chat. As well, enjoy the weather. I'm golfing tomorrow.
Yes.
Just no conscience, this man.
Yeah.
Just a mean-spirited evil demon. And we'd been hitting it off, too. Just shows you. I'm 3 weeks away. I'm jumping on the plane. And yes, I'm getting giddy about it.
Derek, you've been making Canadians laugh for over 3 decades now. I recall seeing you on Just for Laughs back in the day. What was the moment or experience in your life that made you realize that stand-up comedy was what you wanted to do?
I don't know if it hits you all at once like that. It's a good question, but kind of creeps up a little at a time. I tried an amateur night here, and it went terribly. And then I tried another one. This is when the Yuck Yucks had a club, by the way, smoke-filled club in Yorkville with all black walls and a basement. It was very dungeon-like. But there was an intensity. Everybody was staring at the stage, and it was all tightly packed in. As soon as it went well, that first time, man, that's kind of when the hook went in. You're still making zero money. You have to have a job and a real life and, some perspective. It was more fun, I think, for me because I got to vent all the things because I had a job for years. I mean, I didn't get on stage till I'm like 30. And so many of the comics I came up with started when they were like right out of high school, zero life experience. I think I had way more fun than they did.
And what did you do for a living before you made it as a comedian, Derek?
Well, countless things, but just before and during, I was a painter. I was a painter for College Pro. They gave me a card. It said my name, College Pro. Oddly, I was not a pro as I just started, and I had never been to college. But I had the card that got me in the door. So, yeah, I got over my fear of heights from all the ladders, and it was just a good all-around thing,
The great thing about painting is you have lots of time to think.
That's true. That is very true. And they were pretty easy going. If suddenly I were to acquire a gig, say a 3-day gig in Kitchener, for instance, they're good for me. Oh, yeah, just go ahead and take Thursday and Friday off as long as you're here Monday. They were terrifically lenient like that. So it was a good launching point. And, something's got to pay the bills. So yeah. I attributed all to painting. And it's very relaxing, honest to God.
And that's why the jobs always took 2 or 3 days longer, right?
I guess they could blame me for the lack of profits there.
Derek, did you come from a funny household? Were your mom and dad, brothers and sisters funny?
Oh, my sister still kills me. Yes, and Dad was funny. And Mom, being from Britain, had a whole different angle on it. Yeah, they were a funny group. Everybody's a comic. It's like the truest thing. I'm not saying that it was unique in any way. A lot of people I knew, their folks were funny. Everybody was cracking wise. Do you have the nerve to try it in front of a big room of strangers? That was the only line in the sand, really.
Well, Rick Mercer says everyone knows Derek is the funniest man in Canada. Your comedy's very observational, has a very relatable quality to it. Where do you find your best material?
Well, first of all, he said that a long time ago. He might have changed his mind just to keep things on an even keel here. But, yeah, he's a good man. Oh, geez, material comes at you from different angles. And mainly it's more interactions with other people. Something you can absolutely relate to as a human being. The person at the counter, the person you talk to at the drive-thru, friend at the coffee shop or the pub. simple conversations can sometimes translate to some real gold. And that kind of thing's been working for me pretty good. Thanks for asking.
What is it that makes something genuinely funny to you, both as a comedian, crafting your own material, and as an audience member watching other performers?
I honestly don't know the answer to that question, First guy I ever saw perform live, Canadian, was Norm Macdonald. You know Norm, right?
Yep.
Just the wordplay and the timing, it was so beautiful. And yet, I saw B. Mac, all he does on stage is fall down. He does pratfalls. For some reason, it's hilarious. Do you remember Super Dave Osborne?
Who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't? Exactly. Super Dave, and it was also subtle at the beginning, and he ends with this slapstick where he falls off the CN Tower or something, and you just crushed funny. And yet the wordplay in a Monty Python sketch might crush you. I don't know if there is a definition of funny, but I guess it's like choreography. You know it when you see it.
You mentioned Norm Macdonald's delivery. You yourself have a very distinct delivery.
Okay, I'll just take that as a feather in the cap. Thank you very much. Somebody asked me, oh, geez, dear, how do you do the whole thing when you're standing there doing comedy? I would just be yourself, but just like kind of exponentially. It's like you squared. I'm a little goofy, a little bit of a hoser, backwoods bumpkin type with this and that influences. I just go up there and I times two. That simplifies it for any would-be comics that might be listening. God bless you.
I'm out of the loop. Didn't have pets. I had this fear of dogs. I know how pathetic that sounds, but never tell a friend that you have an irrational fear because they never forget. A friend of mine calls me up. He just got a dog from a full-grown German Shepherd from the pound, a used dog. And he invites me over to his house without telling me, because he's funny. And I tap on the door and I hear a sound I can't duplicate, something like, oh. It sounded like somebody was trying to start a tank. So whatever, there's something enormous behind that door. And he comes out and he's got his new dog by the collar, but just barely. Hey, how you doing? And now the dog is like surrounding me. He's all over and he's sniffing. I'm so tense. And at one point he sticks his head right under here. Now I'm on my toes in the lurch for something clever to respond with. Geez, are those new curtains there? And he says this, don't act so nervous. He can smell fear. See, I can't believe his eyes aren't watering.
Now, Derek, when you're out on the road on tour and you're stopping somewhere like Tim Hortons or a restaurant or whatever, and folks who recognize you come up, do they want to tell you funny stories and jokes?
It's a courteous country, you got to understand. If you're maybe seated and somebody has been to a show and they've seen you, they feel more comfortable with a chat. Back in the day, you read the newspaper at the coffee shop. Somebody might settle up and tell me this or that, something funny. They'll do it out the East Coast sometimes because they're hilarious out there. They will crack you up. They will tell you something you can't even believe how funny it was. So it's a rare thing, but it's a treat. I mean, some of the best taglines anybody's ever got working in Newfoundland. People are shouting stuff out from the crowd, but it's not heckling. It's helping their act. They get off stage and they rush over to a table so you can write down all the heckles. It's way funnier than the stuff they had written down already.
They think they're getting a rebate on their ticket.
Well, it's a frugal group once you get past Quebec.
You're embarking on another West Coast tour through BC and Vancouver Island in just a few weeks, really. The tour is titled Oxymoron. Tell us about that.
I just realized I woke up this morning, and it was right around 11, which I guess is right at your time now, but that oxy could be mistaken for a drug, that painkiller. There's that. Could probably make you turn you into a moron. Really, it's just about thick-headedness. And it's a haphazard title for a silly group of jokes, yeah? It's been working nicely for me. as it goes along, and a lot of slaps on the back and way to goes after a show. And I'm hoping it'll keep going well out there. You know, the BC crowd's always been good to me.
I wanted to ask you about that. You mentioned the East Coast audiences. Are British Columbia audiences a little different? Do they have their own particular character?
Yeah, I guess they do. Yeah. And there's certain little towns that are so pretty. There is a certain self-satisfied swagger to the folks of Nelson that really makes it difficult to entertain them. But, you know, as a rule, it's just people that happen to be living in really pretty surroundings in any other community. And I shouldn't be hacking on Nelson, because next time I'm back there, they'll be even more hostile and condescending. But, you know, you ask for the truth. You got a podcast. What do I got? I'm sitting in my basement doing nothing. So you want the truth, you get the truth. But generally, Canadians are courteous and nice. It's a worldly group that comes out to these theaters anyway. They know any reference you're going to use. So they get a good chuckle.
After all these years on the road, what keeps touring fresh and exciting for you?
The Bills. Yeah. Even just if I can hear her grin over the telephone that I made a little money that day, makes my week. You stand there and make a group of strangers laugh. It's marvelous. Everybody's had those days at a party and you're in the kitchen and you happen to be hot, you know, you're cracking and everybody's chuckling. You know how fun that is. And that satisfaction doesn't diminish. It's absolutely as cool as when I started.
Derek, you've worked alongside of some of Canada's biggest comedy legends over the years. Who influenced your approach to comedy?
I don't know if you've heard of Howard Nemitz, Simon Rakoff, Lawrence Morgenstern, Ron Bogey, and countless others. Oh, here's a name. Greg Morton. Have you ever heard of him?
Yes, he does all the Star Wars sounds.
Yes. He is a phenomenal performer. I think he's at his own room in Vegas. You just have your own room and people come to see you, and you don't have to take down your family pictures off the dressing room counter, you know? He's an amazing performer and just energy. It's like something you see on Star Trek, the old Star Trek. It's made out of pure energy. That's Greg Morton. Anyway, he's brutal, hilarious, and you just, oh, what a lesson in humility work with that guy. Just when, geez, that went pretty good. I'm thinking that's pretty close to a 4.5 out of 5. That's it. And Greg goes on, you realize what a miserable waste of space your life has been. He's Canada's Chaplin. He's unbelievably good.
I'm happy to say that I'm not taking up as much space as I did this time a couple of years ago because I've lost a little weight, but it's still questionable.
You did? You lost some weight? It's that all that broadcasting must be exhausting.
Oh, it is. It's terrible getting up and going to the fridge and coming back to the microphone. Yeah.
I would have thought those trips to the fridge would have made up for all whatever weight you might have lost. I guess it depends what you keep in the fridge.
Wobbly Pops.
How else could you put up with talking to comics?
What's the most challenging aspect of being a touring comedian that audiences might not realize? You have, a show every night or every other night. And conversely, what's the most rewarding part that keeps you coming back and out on the road?
I just did an Ontario tour where all of a sudden they got 18 inches of snow in one day. So I'm arriving in Huntsville, Sudbury, North Bay, someplace in Northern Ontario. The amount of terrifying moments it took me on that drive to get to the gig. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. And some of them, of course, had to go through a great deal of turmoil to get even if they were only going 10 miles, I was going much farther. I was going, usually a 2-hour drive, 6 hours. So that happened to me all through the last tour. And not whining, I chose the life, but goodness me. You just like white knuckled. And the best thing about that is, here's the good side, is that the real tremors I would get, my nervous part of the day, would be in the green room just before the show. But all the nerves have kind of been drained through after the drive, especially when you're going around bulldozers and all. I don't know if you can remember these vehicles you are in. You'll have to just imagine them, okay? Like you're on Venus or something. So suddenly all the nervous energy is done with. I go out there and there's a natural rapport. Everybody's been through some kind of difficulty to get in the building. They're just ecstatic to be warm and safe. I come on and we have a great time together. And I'm not tense at all. That's the beauty.
The weirdest, this is a summer phenomenon. I'm on a northern road, a little tiny road, come around the bend. Guess what's in front of me? Huh? A house. You can't even see what's pulling it. Just somebody's domicile rolling down the road. People, you can't pass a house. Meep. That's all I got. My quiver is empty. Meep. Honest, so you sit there rethinking every decision that's led you to this juncture in your life, doing 8 kilometers an hour. And I still don't know what was going on here. What is this, an agoraphobic having a vacation?
When you're crafting new material, what's your process? Workshop jokes at smaller places, or do you have another approach? Does your poor family take the brunt of all of this?
A friend of mine, Dave, says his wife used to be enthralled with his writing process. Now he practices most of the material into her right shoulder blade as she walks away. The family don't give a flying whatever. Sometimes I practice my material on the podcasts I do. So, for instance, I'm listening to CBC radio, forgive me, but I was at a cabin. There was nothing else to do. And the Air Canada was on strike just a few months back. And they were, it was pandemonium. And they said, so far 623 flights have been canceled, I remember. And it's increasing exponentially by the hour. Because I don't think she understood math. That was the 10 o'clock news. So by the news at noon, that would have been 241,804,367 flights. It's canceled. And you got to hope that WestJet can pull up the slack. There's only 40 million people. They've canceled 6 flights for every man, woman, and child in Canada. You see a gaping hole like that. Now, I can't try that kind of joke out on stage. People would just think I lost my friggin' mind. But I trust you, and you were very kind in your response.
I enjoyed that because I can still do math.
I was surprised. I mean, I had to obviously figure this stuff out. And geez, how long it's been since I did longhand math with a pencil.
You mentioned, Derek, pencils. Media has changed dramatically with social media, streaming platforms, podcasts. How have you navigated changes and made use of them? I mean, when you come out on stage now, I'm sure you're looking at 400 faces and 200 phones.
It's an awfully courteous group that comes out to these theater shows. And they want to get away from everything. They want to get away from the news entirely. You don't come to see some guy who's the title is oxymoron. If you want to be involved in the every moment-to-moment goings-on in the current world, no, I'm an escape hatch. I've got entire decades without considering what's going on with the leadership of America. Because who could possibly care less? It doesn't affect us at all. But now that you got to tiptoe through the tulips, make sure you don't step on any toes, it's a little bit more laborious to make sure you're not hurt anyone's feelings or the latest trouble that's been dusted up.
What about when they're holding them up and recording you? Does that throw you off a little bit?
That's a rarity. Weirder, though, is when people bring their kids, Somebody brought a baby to a show once. Can you believe it? And I get a laugh. Say there's 100 people there. So everyone would laugh, and they would stop, and then the baby would laugh because she thought it was hilarious, the sound of all these people laughing. And then everyone would hear the baby laugh, and they would laugh again. There was no need for me to be there.
You'd only have to use half the material you brought.
Hey, you know what? I just do the one joke, and I'm out of there. She was so beautiful and charming, this little kid, this little baby. What are you going to do? If anything, this little kid made it more delightful. Just a ringing, tingling laugh went all through the room. Not to go on and on, but yeah, it's not just phones that can be a trouble.
Well, Derek, we're going to look forward to the Oxymoron tour on Vancouver Island. And I did want to ask you before we go, after all these years in comedy, and you still have lots of years ahead of you, what still surprises you about performing, and what's next for Derek?
Myself and a buddy were brainstorming yesterday, if you want to call it that. Well, drinking. Anyway, we were having a good chat, talking about there's a place called the Comedy Bar in downtown Toronto. We're going to start running some shows out of there. He wants to call it the Derek and Mike's Overhyped Super Show, where we will bring on people and there'll be new material. And he's a great host, this guy, Mike. And so there'll be a place to try out stuff right here in Toronto, not too far away from my door. About 60 or 70 people. It's a really good testing ground. But, it's still fun out there. There's still a great satisfaction, even if you have to work hard for it, in as much as I ever work hard. There's a real wash of satisfaction. like finishing painting the room. You know, it was all like dark blue and smudgy when you got in, and now it's like pristine, some kind of off-colored green, looking awesome. And you walk away without a flaw in the paint job, and you just go, yeah. I mean, geez, I miss painting. Talking to you all this time, I'm really starting to want to pick up the old brush again. But good gravy, I love comedy.
Derek Edwards, observational comedy at its finest. Catch his shows this March on Vancouver Island. We'll have all the details in our story notes at thepulsecommunity.ca. You know, that man has a gift for finding funny in the everyday. That's something I aspire to. In fact, I'm working right now on a funny story about the time I went running naked through the woods.
Well, that's great, Dave. Say, hey, we have a new podcast for you. Cindy Thompson of Parksville has joined the Pulse Community family with a resilience project. Through guest stories, listeners can discover key elements that can move us from surviving to thriving. The latest episode features psychologist Dr. Rob Lees, focusing on the challenges that veterans experience during military service and following their tour of duty.
Parksville counselors Joel Grenz and Sean Wood are back with Nonpartisan Hacks, taking listeners behind the scenes of municipal advocacy work that directly impacts Vancouver Island taxpayers.
Our Skookum Kid stories feature Captain Dave and the crew of the Mellow Submarine, and Peter and Gracie, the Eskimo dog. And our kid stories now offering coloring pages to go along with each episode. This week's episode features Peter and Gracie visiting the fish hatchery to see how it all works.
And our Radio Archaeology Classic Radio Series features original episodes of Dragnet featuring Sergeant Joe Friday and Marshal Matt Dillon in Gunsmoke.
You'll find these podcasts and more at thepulsecommunity.ca. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter and keep up to date on the latest podcasts, guests, and contests.
Our Super Bowl giveaway is going to happen soon, so make sure you enter for the commemorative Super Bowl 60 sweater. Visit our Facebook page or thepulsecommunity.ca. And good luck in the draw, Thursday, February 26th.
Well, thanks for joining us. Now get out there and savor the last of winter and the start of spring.
And bear witness to the enormity and magic of the herring run. Did you know that there will be seabirds that have flown here from as far away as Russia? Isn't that amazing? How did they learn there's an annual seafood buffet just off the east coast of Vancouver Island?
I don't know, Dave. Maybe it's a good thing that not all questions in life have been answered on our podcast.
So, are you sure that forest bathing is done with clothes on?
Here come Peter, here comes Dave. Oh, listen. Bringing stories, making waves. No missing. Spinning tales in the podcast cave. So sweet. Laughs and insights everywhere. What a treat.